Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Here Be Dragons. I am your host, Stephen Stark, and joining me this week, we've got returning. It's been a minute since I've seen you, buddy, but
Yeah,
we're really glad to have you back. We've got Yogi joining us, and any moment, hopefully, Cecilia will be here. She's having a little bit of technical issues right now, which is why she's not here yet. Which is why we were late. We're giving her a few minutes to see
yeah.
if she can get in, but it is what it is. But yeah, thanks for being here, Yogi. I think most people
Thank
know
you.
you, but for those that don't, why don't you introduce yourself and tell the folks who you are?
Well, I'm Yogi. The last time I was on this show was to discuss the third season of Avatar, The Last Airbender, my favorite TV show of all time. Thank you very much. And I also used to, I mean, I used to do a podcast of my own. I haven't done one in many, many months. I had other things to do. It's called Through the Moon Door, mostly about Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. Good episodes. I recommend check them out. I somehow always managed to get great guests. Had Rohan on. Had oh man, it's so many. Micah. A lot of people that everyone watching this probably also knows.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Blackfire as well. Yeah, but I haven't been very active. I have since taken up another thing, which is I am the creator, the host of the News for Westeros Twitter page called the King's Landing Chronicle, which is
That's
sort of like,
you?
yeah, it's
I
me.
didn't know that was you.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh,
Hello.
that's awesome.
It's sort of like it's basically like the Onion, but for Westeros. That was the approach that I took. My last article, sadly, also almost 2 months old. There was a time when I was whipping out like 2 or 3 a day. Life got in the way, but I'm going to go back to it. I think the most recent one was my Tywin Lannister, man who committed mass murder 30 years ago, still riding that wave. I think that was the last one. Yeah, but new ideas will come to me. But that's kind of it. I'm just here to talk about Stranger Things. I hope you can catch me up on what you discussed in your first discussion that I had to miss because of my internet issues.
Right. But here you are joining us to talk about Stranger Things.
Yes.
We're supposed to be here like a month ago when we did Volume 1,
Yeah.
but you had internet issues. There was just you were
Indeed.
not able to join us. But I'm super happy to have you here. And by the way, the Through the Moon Door, your YouTube channel, there's a link down in the description to that, as well as to your Twitter. And Yogi's a great follow. He's a good dude. We've had many good conversations over the few years we've known each other. But yeah, Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. I missed the discussion, but what was the consensus? Did you
It's
like it?
good. It's
It was
good.
good.
It's
Good.
good. We can't wait. Back to the creepy.
Yep, yep.
But yeah,
Check that out.
so we'll just start with sort of like we don't want to. We'll go spoiler free briefly. There's a couple of
Yep.
people who have said they haven't watched it yet, so we'll go spoiler free. My spoiler free thing is it's the best season of Stranger Things so far, and a lot of that is down to how they wrapped up with Volume 2. Volume 2 was just perfect. I could watch it like a 4 hour movie.
Yes, it was. I watched it all in one. It was like The Godfather. It was like 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did the same.
yeah. I've heard lots of people say that they think it's the. I mean, I've heard lots of people say it's the best season since season one. I think season
Right.
one is still a lot of people's favorite.
And fair. I think it's the best season up to this point.
Personally, I don't quite know where I would rank it yet. I always liked season one the best. I'm actually one of the few people. I know season three is a bit controversial, but I really, really enjoyed season three.
I've enjoyed
I
all
thought
of
it was, yeah. I think season three, like all the body snatcher stuff and the giant meat spider and Hopper punching people and fighting the Russian Terminator. I thought it was great.
it. Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. It was just the right amount of cheese for this kind of '80s homage show. It was actually, I mean, a lot. It was a lot. Now that I think about it, season 3 was a lot funnier than season 4. I didn't really laugh all that much in season 4. It
Yeah,
was
the
season
season
4 was
was
very
very
dark.
dark.
Yeah,
Very.
yeah.
I mean, when we, I don't want to get into specifics yet. We're still in
Oh yeah, true.
spoiler-free territory. But yes, very dark. Although I will say, I don't think this is a spoiler. It had a very Dungeons and Dragons feel, especially to the last episode.
They do, yeah, they do keep going with that. The different parties.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that they still like introduce new characters because every season I feel like whenever they do the first episode, I'm always like, man, there are so many characters. How are they gonna do this? And I guess the answer is just make the episodes 2.5 hours long.
Right? Like, this is really what 3 episodes from season 1 it would take to get 2.5 hours.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was a part of me that I should probably say I enjoyed season 4. I had a good time. It was. I don't want to say I probably didn't enjoy it as much as most people did because I did enjoy it. I thought it was great. I've never like sat there and was bored. I had some issues with it, but we can discuss that later. But overall, I thought it was really great. I thought it was a brilliant move. I don't think this counts as a spoiler. Like the Vecna as a villain. I always like how they kind of make every season as a kind of a mashup of popular 80s genres. Like season 1, you had your E.T. kind of paired up with some Stephen King, the body in there. And then, we have guests.
Better late
Hi.
than never.
Yes.
Oh,
And then
we'll get right back to your thought, Yogi. But Cecilia, thank you for joining us. Hello.
sorry for being so late. It was
Well, it's all right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that out of your paycheck.
okay. It's just that I was having some issues with my equipment, but yeah, here I am.
Again, better late than never. Thank you for joining us. Bienvenidos.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Yogi, now that you've got a mouthful of food, why don't you finish your thought?
Yes. So what I was going to say, I really like how every season they kind of take from different genres of the 80s. So season 1 you had E.T. They find the little alien child, hide evil government people trying to get her, all that stuff. Season 2 it was more of a possession movie, like, you know, Will was possessed by the evil. They had that whole exorcism stuff, and it was paired with like the haunting and the crops failing. It was kind of like Aliens mixed with like The Exorcist and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then season 3, which might be like my personal favorite season because it was so like goofy. They had the body horror, the Thing, with the goo people and the invasion of the body snatchers. So they always find really creative ways of combining things. And now this season they did like the Freddy Krueger, It kind of haunt your dreams, crazy feeding off fear, supervillain kind of thing with the horror house. It was very It in some places, I thought, especially the house bit, the Victor Creel house.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Let's not lean into spoilers too heavy just yet. Cecilia, what was your feeling for season 4 overall, or specifically volume 2, without spoilers?
Okay, well, for all the season, I enjoyed the whole season as a whole. I mean, both volumes, and I was glad that because the kids are growing up, they are kind of getting into more darker kind of um, plot. It's a darker plot, and the situations that they are confronting are a lot more challenging just because the age. And of course I loved every single pop culture reference, and well, it's always enjoyable to watch. And the story as a whole, I mean, the way they portray it, it was amazing for me.
So where does it rank? Best season, second best after season 1?
Well, I would say that my favorite season is season 3, just because in this season I think that some of the characters went too far behind. I mean, in past seasons, some of the main characters are now background characters, so that felt a little weird for me. But overall, I liked it very much.
Do you
But
mean Mike mostly?
Mike mostly
And Jonathan.
and Jonathan, the Byers, basically the Byers and Hopper. I mean, the whole story with Hopper. I mean, it was exciting to see, but I mean, it wasn't essential
wild.
to the it wasn't really essential to the whole plot of the story this season, at least. But I figure it's because they are trying to
Wait a
set the
minute.
tone for the next season.
Are you wearing a Hellfire Club T-shirt?
Of course.
Sweet.
Of course. Oh, and look at this. I have my
You're Eddie.
very own Eddie. And to pay homage for last season, this is a candle in honor to Barb.
Oh, hold on. Hold that up again. I'm going to give you the full. Let me see.
Okay.
Again.
There it is. There it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Your
So
Bob
you're
candle.
a fan.
Mhm.
So
I am a
is
fan.
So, okay. I guess let's say we can't say much else without getting into spoilers.
Mhm.
So this is your chance to get out.
Get out!
Before we spoil you. So, spoilers are...
Oh, I like that. It's like on the news. Din, 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 din.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's spoil it all. Best character this season. We'll start with ladies first. Cecilia.
Ooh.
Best character.
My favorite character for this season?
Yeah.
Eddie. Without
Okay.
a question. Yeah. And maybe Dustin. Well, Dustin is a constant in every season, but in this season, those two were my favorites.
I'm gonna say my personal favorite this season. I have some overall favorites, but I wouldn't say that they were especially good this season. So I'm gonna say my favorite character this season was Will, because they finally leaned into the gay stuff after like 3 seasons of dangling it in front of us like a key. They finally committed to the bit. Like I've been saying since season 1 that this little guy is gay, and finally they did something interesting with it. So I was really glad. I think Noah Schnapp was very good in the very few scenes. He didn't sadly have all that many, but the ones that he was in were very good, and I think his kind of the torment that he feels and the way that it kind of plays into the relationship with Mike and Al was well done and interesting. And I think the way that the season left off, kind of hinting that season 5 is going to be more Will-centric.
Yeah.
That's what I think they're hinting at. So I'm excited to see that. I've always liked Will the best. He is my son. And yeah. So I like Will the best.
So I got a 1-2 punch. My favorite new character this season, and then my favorite character overall. I think my favorite new character this season is Argyle. I want to hang out with that dude every day. He's
That
so
guy is great.
positive.
I loved Argyle,
he's
yeah.
so upbeat. Like, I loved that character so much. But really, this was the season for me that Max came into her own really fully.
Yes.
So I may have liked her best, but you know, you said earlier that one of the things that detracted for you was that you feel like maybe some of the characters who were main characters before have taken a back seat. But that has made space for characters like Eddie and Argyle, and even somebody like Max, who has been around since season 2, but hasn't had the chance to grow into one of the central figures in the story. And she really got a chance to do that this season. And Sadie Sink was fantastic. She broke my heart, you know?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't ugly cry like in other series when a favorite character dies, but it definitely touched a fiber in my heart. And I agree with you. I mean, they really need to make room for, I mean, to exploit other characters in a better way, if rather than just they permanently being in the background. But I mean, it felt weird for me, but it's not a complaint. It's not necessarily a complaint. I don't know if I'm explaining myself. It's not really a complaint, but it felt a little weird. And I agree with you about Argyle. I felt that the audience didn't necessarily react the way you did. I feel like it's a character that deserves much more love than it already has. Mainly because Eddie, I mean, took all the reflectors for himself regarding the new
Yeah.
characters, and that's not necessarily a complaint either, because I loved Eddie with all my heart. But I think that in the end, Argyle ended up doing more than Jonathan and Mike this season.
I think you're right.
Uh-huh.
He drove the car, at least. They were just they
No,
just
I mean,
sat in
he
it.
drove the car. He drove the car. He was the one with the idea about the tub with the salt and that stuff, and he was the one
You found the tracks.
and he found the tracks. I mean,
That is true. I mean, I always thought it was weird that like it seemed to me that ever since season 1, they really kind of don't know what to do with Mike. I think the fact that he's supposed to be the leader of the group kind of, so like in season 1 they made him the least quirky one, and now as like the seasons have progressed, he's kind of the one where if you were to ask me like what's he like, what are his interests, I would be like, I don't know. It seems like he's a bit underdeveloped sometimes. I think Mike, he especially this season, I thought they just did one too many scenes where he was just like dense. Like, like he's just, especially I'm thinking of that scene where they're in the car and Will's basically having an emotional breakdown and he's just sitting there like a blank piece of wood and not reacting in any way. I was like, come on, Mike, like, are you stupid? Like, this man is clearly crying. Like, what are you doing?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they do, like, too much of his character is just defined by his relationship to 11.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
But even that part wasn't well exploited in this season, because, for example, one of my least favorite moments of Mike this season was at the roller
rink.
Yeah.
So what's called?
When everyone is laughing at 11, and he does nothing.
Yeah.
He's not. Yeah, I mean, I get it. He's a bullied kid, and sometimes you react in a you run away from that problem. But I mean, at least he could have just go for her and take her anywhere else, right? And I found it extremely shitty of him to not do anything.
Yeah, I mean, he does a lot of nothing.
And I mean, it wasn't Mike. I felt like it wasn't Mike.
I'm with you. I saw a tweet yesterday that said something to the effect of, two of the characters. You talk about the original 4 boys that were the friend group. 2 of them were amazing this season.
Yes.
One did not have as much to do, but he was great in everything he did. And Mike was there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I don't want to just shit on it the entire time, but maybe we can get our like gripes out of the way now, so we can talk about how great it was. I also,
and it was great.
Maybe it's just me, but I think Finn Wolfhard isn't that good of an actor. Like, I think he was better as a child, and he kind of grew into like a meh actor.
And
like, I think a lot of the scenes he was just not giving me.
In my opinion, the Broadway kids are the ones that are shining the most. Which is
Dustin and Lucas?
Yes. It's Dustin, Lucas, and Max.
Yeah.
Those three are the best actors out there.
I
If
think they're
they
also
even
the
surpass
oldest.
11.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and they
I mean, not that she's bad. I don't think any of them are bad.
no,
And I
no.
think
It's
some of
just
it
that
might.
mhm, they
I
are
just
better.
think that Finn might be in that because let's face it, he's beanpole and he's probably all elbows and 4 left feet right now because he's a teenage boy with a tall, gawky frame.
He's taller than Jonathan now. I noticed.
Oh yeah.
He outgrew Jonathan.
So like maybe he's just going through that phase. They didn't give him a whole lot to do this season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna forgive that.
He wasn't given great stuff to work with. Like Noah Schnapp, they gave him some good scenes, even though he didn't do much.
They did.
Yeah.
Plot-wise.
Now that I think about it, maybe the reason why he didn't shine so much is because he is really the leader of the group,
And the group's not together.
And the group is not together, so his leadership is not working now there. So maybe in the next season, when they are all together again, maybe we see Mike shining the most.
Yeah, I really think it's time that all the kids get back together. They've done that whole separate parties fighting the same villain at the end one too many times now. I think in season 5 they got to get them all back together to do the big fight.
I agree, but they did it better this season than they've ever done it before, in my opinion.
The teams were great. Like all the individual groups were great. Like all the team ups
doing her thing, Hopper and crew doing their thing, and then like the 3-part attack on Vecna from the Hawkins crew. I loved all of it. All of it. Yeah. They scared me to death that they were going to kill Steve. I was terrified.
Yes.
I thought so. I was really shocked that they didn't. I thought I had it all figured out. I thought that like they introduced Eddie as like a decoy, so everyone would think, he's like the Bob, he's the Alexei, he's like the character everyone likes that gets killed at the end, like they always do. And I thought they were going to do like a switcheroo where Eddie survives, but it's Steve who dies. But then they just didn't. They just killed Eddie. I thought it was going to be a whole thing about like, the kids don't have their babysitter anymore because now things get serious for this final season, so Steve has to die. But
I mean, it was bittersweet. It was bittersweet because I liked Eddie so much, but I was at the same time I was relieved that it wasn't Steven. I mean, there was a whole lot of memes out there and the Spanish Twitter and the Spanish social media where they put like a candle. You know what? When you pray and you lit a candle, that for Steven not dying this season. I mean,
it worked.
It worked.
It did work.
I mean, of course.
I guess on the one hand they just can't kill too many people because they always have that problem of like at the end of the season they always have to explain how all the people died. Like the government keeps coming up with like excuses for where everyone went, so they can't kill too many of like the main ones. But I also felt like they really missed their chance to trim off some of the fat because I do think that the cast is too big. Like and they handled it well, but only because they did like 2 hours worth of episode, and I really think some of those people had to leave. Like they should have killed some people. Maybe I'm just being cynical, but I really was surprised that it was only Eddie that they killed in the final.
Look,
the final 2 episodes.
Look at where Max is at the end of the season, and tell me, like,
she's not dead.
You're right, she's not dead. But like when her arm first broke, I freaked out.
I thought, oh my god, they're really messing her up.
Yeah.
I was like, I never really fully thought that she was gonna die, just because it would have been weird to do 2 fake outs, because she already had the fake out in episode 4, and also because like they did such a good job with making this like a message about depression and suicidality that for her to just die at the end would have been really cheap and kind of offensive. Like the whole point was that she wants to live, so to just like go through all of that and then just have her die anyway would have been really grim. So I'm glad that she didn't die. I think I'm not quite sure what they were gonna do. Maybe Sadie Sink's expensive because she's an adult now, and they were like, we don't know if we can get her back for season 5, just put her in a coma. Or maybe they haven't figured out where they have to get her back. Because they had that whole thing at the end with 11 going into her head and there's nothing there. And I think there was a bit where Vecna talked about how all the people he kills stay with him in his mind. So maybe there's a kind of thing where in season 5 they got to go into Vecna's brain and get Sadie Max back so she can wake up from her coma. That I could see that be a thing, a kind of like time mind. What do they call it? The mind layer? What do they call that black void thing?
You got Vecna's mind layer, but he works for the Mind Flayer.
Exactly. Does he work for the Mind Flayer? That's another thing I didn't understand. Because it looked like he created the Mind Flayer when he went there.
Me, it looked like he found the Mind Flayer one day, and then the Mind Flayer inhabited him.
That is true. I mean, to me, it looked like the particles, like the entity, like the hive mind was always there, but he shaped it into like the spidery form that it is, because he has a thing with spiders. And it's like a thing where like he shaped it and he let it sort of take him over. So I'm not quite sure what the relationship is. Like, I don't know who works for who. Like, is Vecna the big baddie or is the Mind Flayer? Because to me, it looked like when he was walking in there that he was for creating the Mind Flayer, or like shaping it to look like a spider, all the particles.
I think they're very much one now.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
I think one
first, the Vecna or the Mind Flayer?
I think it was the Mind Flayer first, but then Vecna took advantage of this force.
Yeah. I think the particles... Sorry, yeah, go on.
I think the Mind Flayer makes use of him in a sort of a symbiotic way. I think the Mind Flayer is so alien, it probably almost couldn't comprehend our world without a Vecna to be
they benefit from each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe think of it like, I always think like the Upside Down is like the dark side from Star Wars, but it needed like a Vecna to like, it needs a Sith to cause trouble, right? Like it existing on its own isn't really a problem. And to me, it seemed like the entity that is the Mind Flayer was always there, but it didn't really care about the human world. And it was Vecna like giving it form and purpose that kind of created this evil being that now is trying to take over the world. So I think it's a bit of a give and take. Like symbiotic, I think, is probably the best descriptor. I know in the show they used Dustin said that Vecna is like the 5-star general, and Vecna is the leader of the Upside Down. So maybe it's like that. But I think I don't think the Mind Flayer ever would have tried messing with the human world if it weren't for Vecna.
I think you're right, but yeah, somehow the two of them together become one of my favorite German words. They have a Gestalt, where they are greater than the sum of their parts.
Yes. Vecna literally gave it a Gestalt. Like all the little particles, yeah. It's a good word.
It is. My second favorite German word.
Which also probably means that we'll have Vecna as the villain again in the next season then.
I hope so. He was very effective villain.
Yeah. Because it was like in the season 1 it was just the Demogorgon, which in retrospect is just like a thing. It's just like an animal, right? Like a deer. And then in season 2, Mind Flayer. And then in season 3 they had like the defeated Mind Flayer, the portion of it that was left that Will puked out at the end of season 2. And they did that whole thing with the rats and it became like a giant meat monster. So it was the Mind Flayer again. And now we have Vecna and it's going to be Vecna again. But I think it's probably going to be similar to season 3 where it's like a weakened Vecna. I think personally my theory is that the like sort of weak Vecna is going to go after Will because L is too powerful, but Will also has the connection to the Upside Down, and I think Vecna's going to try to turn Will against his friends, trying to like seduce him to the dark side, because I read this thing on the internet where the Duffer Brothers said that season 5 is going to remind people a lot of Star Wars. And I think with Will, it makes sense because he's like tormented and he's always kind of felt a little bit like an outsider in his friend group. And now the whole he wasn't rejected, but he kind of rejected himself from that L-Mike relationship. So I think there's going to... I actually thought Volume 2 was going to go into like a Will Vecna thing. I thought Will was going to be Vecna's next target for the final 2 episodes. And the reason I think that is because obviously they leaned into like all the gay repressed feelings and the shame and and the guilt and all that stuff. And there is the infamous sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which is like famously one of the most like homoerotic horror movies ever made, where Freddy Krueger, who was like the inspiration for Vecna, goes after the main character who is very queer coded. So I thought what we were going to get, I thought I had it all figured out. I thought Volume 2 was going to be all about Vecna going after Will and sort of getting him with all his repressed gay shame, the way he gets other Max with her guilt. It just seemed to me the kind of thing that Vecna would come after someone for. Like, it's a lot to work with Will in terms of trauma and guilt and shame and stuff. But I think it still happened in season 5.
I mean, to be fair, that may be one very, very likely scenario for season 5. But to be fair, maybe Will could have the help of someone like Robin to connect.
Yeah.
I mean, Robin doesn't have that connection with Vecna. And she's a little older, so she's more mature in that sense. Yeah. So I feel that if they give us a moment of connection between them, it will be very great, because they will finally be able to not feel like the outsider of the group.
That is true.
I mean, Robin does have Steve to trust, and Will doesn't have anyone. I mean, Jonathan...
Jonathan kind of implied that he is okay with, that he knows and that he's okay with it. So that's good.
But it would be... It would have been a little more supportive of him to actually... I mean, of course, he was trying to be respectful, and it was great.
Yeah. I respect that he didn't try to coax it out of Will. I think a lot of people are like mad that Will didn't like come out this season, but I don't think he has to. Like, I think the fact that Jonathan knows and Will knows that Jonathan knows is enough. I don't think he has to say it.
I was literally going to ask that. Do you feel like, it should have been more explicit?
I
don't think so. I think I like it. I like the subtlety of it.
I thought it was fine too, but I'm not a gay man, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you need to have him like cry and say, "Jonathan, I'm gay." The way they did it was, I think it was appropriate and nice. I mean, I suspect that in season 5 they'll have him find his pride, probably. Like, they can't keep him repressed and sad forever, because then I'm just going to flip a table. But like, the way it's ever since all the way back in season 1, the first episode, when Joyce goes to Hopper when he's missing, she says that his dad used to call him a queer, his friends call him a fag. And then in season 2, they had this... I mean, season 2 didn't really lean into it too much, but then there was in season 3, there was that whole thing where he was kind of behind everyone else, developmentally speaking. Like, he's always been more sensitive than the other boys in the group, and there's that whole bit where Mike yells at him and says, "It's not my fault that you don't like girls," and then Will just sort of like looks like I think he goes into like the woods and smashes up his like childhood castle with a baseball bat or something. So that was okay, calm down, Will.
This is a previous season, but
yeah,
I don't think Mike even meant it.
I don't think Mike knows or suspects that he's gay. He just thinks that Will's too childish and doesn't care about girls, right? Yeah. But Will obviously, he like the gay panic set in, because he was like, "Oh God, they're onto me." Because I don't think in season 3 Will even knew what he was dealing with yet. He was just like, "I don't care about these girls. I just want to play D&D." And then, "Am I weird?" And then Mike saying that to him, the person that he's obviously very close to, which we know now was the beginnings of his crush, was very cutting. And then in season 4, that's when they like really leaned into it. I mean, they had him do his My Hero project for high school on Alan Turing, famous gay scientist Alan Turing. And then the whole like the girl trying to play footsies, and he was sort of like it just cuts to him. Yeah, and it's just like that. And also, I also noticed, I saw on the internet on Twitter when they were in the roller rink, there was a guy like skating behind him, sort of checking him out, and the guy was wearing a shirt saying "I love contact sports." And I was like, okay, show, okay. And then the
That's
worst
funny.
one, if we're talking about innuendos, I thought I caught 2 gay innuendos this season that were very obvious. The first one was when Argyle made the pineapple pizza, and they're trying to get Mike to eat it, and they were all chanting "Try it before you deny it," and then it cut to Will just staring at Mike. It was like, oh. And then the other one wasn't about Will. The other one was about Vicky and Robin, but it was when Vicky accidentally made a peanut butter and peanut butter sandwich instead of peanut butter and jelly, and I was like, there we go.
That's clever. That's
lesbian confirmed.
clever.
So I like all that.
You've been very patient, Weezy. Thanks for being patient. What is my favorite German word? Can you guess? It's a great one. Is
it Schadenfreude?
It is Schadenfreude.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite.
There's a couple of good ones. There's Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist is good. It's somebody who, like, I'm not obsessive about it, but I love history, so I've watched a lot of stuff about World War II. Panzerkampfwagen. It's a great word. It's just fun to say.
Yeah. I like Wanderlust, which is just the urge to go meandering in the woods.
Oh, Wanderlust.
Yeah. And kind of connected to that is another great German word, Waldeinsamkeit, which is the feeling of like a sort of calming solitude when you're walking through the woods.
Yeah, German's got a word for everything. Schadenfreude is my favorite, though, which is the joy you feel when at someone else's discomfort. Suffering, yeah. Oh, I love that terrible thing happened to you. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
Speaking of Germans...
I don't have
sorry.
favorite one. No, I don't have any favorite
of,
German words because I don't know any, basically.
They're not really a thing in the Spanish as much as they are in English.
Yeah.
But speaking of Germans, there was another like thing that I thought that they were. I had lots of like theories that I thought were really good that didn't go anywhere this season. Mm-hmm. And I thought when they showed Dr. Brenner in episode 1 of the first volume, I was like, ooh, they're bringing Dr. Brenner. At first, I thought Dr. Brenner was going to turn out to be Vecna. I thought the Demogorgon took him to the Upside Down in season 1, and he kind of used his knowledge about the Upside Down to become a weird, creepy murder man, but that theory very quickly fell apart. But I always thought, ever since season 1, I thought that Dr. Brenner was an evil Nazi scientist. One of those scientists that the Americans took over to the US after World War II, because it kind of fits age-wise. And like he has that whole thing about doing like cruel human experiments on people with shaved heads and tattooed arms. Like the symbolism was really there. And also his name is Brenner, which is a German name. And they call him Papa, which is the German word for father. So I was like, okay, this guy's like a Nazi guy. Mm-hmm. Maybe he still is. I mean, they don't have to make it explicit. It still could be. It's just that it didn't really factor in.
It could, but I was
be a
kind of
headcanon.
glad that in this season they gave him a little more human side. I mean, of course, he's still a villain, but he's not a completely evil villain. Because
after seeing how the Demogorgon wrecked those Soviet Gulag prisoners, I'm surprised that he managed to survive being attacked in season 1.
Yes. I to be honest, I don't know how he survived. I mean, I don't see it likely at all. But anyway, it was good to see him. It was good to see him, and it was great.
I just kind of wanted.
Sorry, and it was great that he was the one who made 11 recover her powers. I mean, of course, the manners and the ways were a little off, but the purpose was reached.
I just kind of wanted to see Steve fight upside down zombie Nazis with a baseball bat. But I guess that was just too much to ask. Because it's like, they love doing like 80s stuff. And like Indiana Jones always had the Nazis be the bad guys, so I feel like they're being like creepy upside down Nazis. Like they went into hiding in the upside down after World War II and now became like weird monster people. I thought it would have been great. But that sounds more like a season 3, like back when they were camp and funny. And now season 4 was more like horrific and sad.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's getting darker and darker as the child actors get older and older.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're so old. when I saw Noah Schnapp in the first episode, I was like, Jesus Christ, he looks like he's 29. I mean, I know he's 17 in real life, but he looks like 29. Like he looks so old. He looks older than all the other.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that haircut. I heard people say that like he still has the same haircut from season 1. His head just grew around it and it got shorter. Someone said that probably Joyce still uses the same bowl to cut his hair that she did when he was little. That explains why it keeps getting shorter, because his head's so big now. Yeah, but I also watched some like behind the scenes stuff about the costume designers. They were talking about how they had to like hide all his muscles because he grew so big. He like gymmed out, but Will's supposed to be this like geeky, repressed gay guy, so they can't look him walking around looking shredded. So they kind of had to cover up his arms and packed him into like these sort of shirt stuff. That was neat. But you can still tell that he's like he's so big, even compared to season 3.
Yeah, his
it's
voice
insane.
too, like
Yeah. I watched some season 1 the other day, and I was like, Jesus. I mean, they look like newborns compared to what. I mean, as I said, Mike outgrew. He's taller than Jonathan now, and so is Will, for that matter. Like it's which it's realistic. Like puberty will do that to someone. It's like within 1-2 years, you can look completely different. I work with kids a lot. I see it happen all the time. Yeah, Lucas is. I think Lucas is also like the oldest of the child actors. He's like 20 already, and he's really like especially in real life.
Moderato is also like 20.
Yeah. I think I looked it up the other day. Today, actually. I think Noah Schnapp's 17, and then Finn Wolfhard and Gaten Matarazzo are 19, and then the guy who plays Caleb, what's his name?
McLaughlin.
Yeah, I think he is 20, and then Sadie Sinks is also 20. And Eddie is 30.
Bobby Brown is 18. Yeah, they're all like adults or right there.
Yeah, they can drive. It's weird to think about. But in season 4, they were supposed to be freshmen, right?
They were supposed to be...
Which would make them, what, 14, 15? 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like in the back half of the year, 15.
15.
Yeah, they're on the edge. It doesn't help that they kind of had a whole year delay because of COVID.
Yeah.
So...
I don't know. Maybe they're just all like... I mean, I've seen 15-year-olds like that, as tall as that.
Have like beards? Yeah, I have too.
Yeah, but also, it's like, I think in the story, Will is supposed to be the youngest of the friends. And in seasons like 1 and 2, it really worked because he was a very small child. But now he's like one of the biggest ones. Yeah, but it doesn't matter too much. They gave him that bowl cut to keep him still looking stupid.
I hate it so much. I wish they would let Will have some decent hair.
I mean,
look, I hate this stereotype, but he should be the most fashion forward of that whole crew.
Yeah, but the thing is that when you're like that repressed, you kind of, and I know this from personal experience, you're terrified of doing anything with your hair, with your clothes. You're like, I'm going to wear the plainest shit, and I'm going to get the normalest of haircuts, because I am normal. So you like, and a big part for a lot of people of coming out is kind of developing that sense of fashion that allows you to express yourself and be more flamboyant. I still haven't gotten there yet. My sense of fashion is still terrible. But when I was in high school, really, I was hoodies, jeans every day. I had this haircut. I mean, it looked more like this, but I just walked around like this. And I get that. So I just really hope in season 5 he gets a bit of a makeover. I hope like maybe we get like a Robin and Vicky give him a please get a new haircut. I mean, if they have him go slightly evil in the beginning, I don't know he's gonna be like a villain or anything, but I think they're gonna do a little bit of a Luke Skywalker tempted kind of thing. So maybe just have him have some like eyeliner and like a fresh haircut and some dark, cool clothes.
Something
just
Billy
give him
Idol inspired, maybe.
Yeah, just give him the haircut that Noah Schnapp has in real life. Just like the thing where you put your stuff in the front up and you put the thing.
The ski jump.
I don't know. Yeah, but maybe they give him like they had that like whole thing with 11 when she came back from that side quest with the other tattooed people.
Oh,
Are they ever going to bring those back? I don't think so, right? Everyone hated that episode.
So,
They're just going to pretend it never happened. I don't think they're
Yes,
ever going to
because
bring
it
that back.
wasn't. I mean, people didn't really like it.
People didn't like that at all, no.
Mm-hmm.
But like she came in, she had like the badass like slick back hair. And
Yeah,
she
there
looked
was
all cool.
a pretty fun meme.
Maybe they'll do that
about,
with
there was a pretty fun meme comparing that version of 11 with the season 3 11, when she's wearing this super colorful clothes, and it was like the dark 11 was Joy Division, and the other one was New Order.
Yeah, Dark 11.
So
I really like 11's outfits in this. I noticed that she wears a lot of they're really good with the sibling stuff with Jonathan and Will, because they always dressed Will in kind of hand-me-down clothes. Like him and Jonathan have a lot of the same button-up shirts, and in this season you can see Elle wears them a lot. Like when they go to the roller rink, she's wearing one of like Will's shirts underneath her dress, which is a really weird fashion. But I could see Elle being like, "Yeah, that looks good." Like she has no sense of what is stylish or not, because she grew up in a fucking.
That was
basement.
Adorable, because she truly did blend into the family. I mean, she truly.
That is true. Like she dresses in Jonathan and Will's clothes. Yeah,
that's
a nice little detail. Like
yeah,
they did some cool stuff with. And I watched like some of the behind the scenes, but they really put a lot of thought into all the costumes and stuff, and obviously all that stuff was great this season.
You know what? She's also kind of emulating Joy's style.
Yeah.
And I think that's adorable as well, because I mean that shows that she truly looks up to her, and she loves her as maybe not as a mom, but as a authority figure. And I like that aspect of the wardrobe. About not just for them, but the other characters as well. For example, with Max, I mean, Max in the past seasons, she has always had this type of relaxed, girl next door type of vibe. But in this season, I think that she looked a little bit more. I mean, despite that her clothing was colorful because it was the 80s. I mean, for example, the hair pulled back in a I don't know how you call that in English, but but yeah, it was a little bit more like I'm not feeling that well, because in her past season, when she truly felt like a joyful character, I mean, she always wore her hair down like that, and I feel that it was more like a relaxed, happy kind of Max, and now she's kind of holding something back.
Yeah.
And I think the hair represents that.
Yeah.
Good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mama Stark also making a good point in the chat that, if you're gay in the 80s, getting eyeliner and a fresh fit is not the great, especially if you go to high school. It's not a great idea.
Yeah, I've said it before. These kids are just a few years older than me. Okay?
Yeah.
If they're freshmen in 1986 and I was a freshman in 1989, you can do the math.
You could be friends with them, yeah.
Yeah, I could have. I could have played D&D with these.
You could have been Eddie. You were the same age as Eddie, because didn't he fail to graduate twice or something?
I'm younger than them.
Oh, you're younger than them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. True. Yeah, sorry.
But only just a few years, so I could have.
Could be Erica.
Erica would have been in my same class.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about.
That character really kind of, she was always fun, sassy, Lucas's sister. But this season, she really, she became a whole character unto herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get nostalgia because I played D&D in the 80s. We talked about this a month ago when we did the first part. I lived through the Satanic Panic of Dungeons and Dragons as a player. Which I've said it before, the most unrealistic thing about Stranger Things isn't the psychic powers or the interdimensional demon dog thing. It's that these kids play D&D and they don't they don't hide it from the world like the way that Will hides being gay.
Mm-hmm. Wait, I just realized something. Is Will not in the Hellfire Club?
No, because he's
No,
in
he's
California.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Of course. I was like, why is he was like the one that likes D&D the most? How wasn't he? Like, of course he's in there. He lives in California.
I would have
Oh, that
loved to see an
sucks.
interaction between him and Eddie.
Because he was like
Yeah.
in season 3, he was all about, oh, can we go play D&D? Let's just go play
Can
D&D.
we play D&D
D&D.
now, guys?
He's always wanted to play it. Season 3, when they were all having their like relationship, when Max made Al break up with Mike and they were having their relationship troubles, and he was just like, guys, can we please just not do this? And I really felt that, because when I was like Will's age, even though I didn't grow up in the 80s, when I had like all my friends were starting to have love lives and there was all the drama around it, and I was always just sitting there like, oh my god, I can't believe I have to. Can we just like play? I was a very like, I played with my little like Playmobil figurines. Is that what you call them in the US?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
I played with those until I was like 14, 15, which is way later than most people play with those. But
Really?
I kind of used the excuse because I had like younger cousins who always wanted to play with them, and they always wanted me to like I never played D&D. I was a bit of a dungeon master because I always had to come up with the plot when we were playing with the Playmobil figures. So I kind of used them as an excuse to still do it. But I was very much like, I really feel Will in that way, where I'm just like, can we just go and play with like the little funny knights that like we used to? I don't want to talk about girls and stuff. So I feel that struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, again.
Yeah,
Okay,
Satanic Panic. I was wondering when they were going to bring it in, but you lived through it, so.
I mean, they were already weirdos because they played D&D, but this season they really leaned into it.
Yeah.
Like,
And not just that. I mean, with the whole Eddie character, I mean, he is a metalhead as well. He's not just a D&D player.
Yeah,
and
he's fully Satan.
yes,
Satanized.
and well, his character reminds me of the Memphis 3 story. Well, that was a real life thing in the US. I mean, I don't know if you know this story, but it's about 3. Well, this actually happened. It was 3 kids, 3 teenagers who were metalheads, who were accused of murdering a child. I think it was a little girl. I don't remember that. And they put them in jail because they thought that they killed her because they were metalheads and therefore they were satanic.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah, and well, they released them. They released them. I don't know which year, but it was recent, and it had a lot to do with Pearl Jam. With Eddie Vedder tried to pay the lawyers during the whole process for them to get out, and I think they eventually knew who was the killer, the real killer. But I mean, the whole accusing Eddie of murdering, it
because
reminds
he's an
me
outsider already.
of
Yeah. I mean, to be
And-
fair to the like, I mean, even though all the high school jocks were like clearly like a low-key racist weirdo like lynch mob, but those people did kind of get killed by the devil. Like, they weren't that far off. It's just that it wasn't Eddie who was doing it. Like, Vecna is if this is like the closest thing to the devil that there is.
but they were a
So
little
I mean, they were kind of right in a weird way.
yeah. I mean,
Like,
let's
if he
talk about
like he ran away from the first crime scene, and then the second time, is it Jason? Is that his name?
Jason, yes.
The main, the second time Jason saw it, like, Eddie was in a boat and his friend like lifted out of the water and broke all his bones magically. So I don't blame him for thinking Eddie was a weird
Right.
Satanist.
Yeah, but of course,
still.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm
since-
glad he died.
even
care.
since the first scene that we see him, which is in right after the game, when he gives this weird speech, you already know that he's some sort of charismatic leader, but the dangerous kind of charismatic leader. And
Yeah.
then, of course, he dies, but the damage he caused is still there. In the final
Yeah.
in the final scenes of the volume 2, you see that people is already enraged and is already saying that it was some sort of satanic cult that did all these killings.
Yeah, and now that like the ground literally like opened up and there's like spores and red lightning everywhere, some people are probably going to think, yeah, okay, I guess the devil has come for Hawkins.
Well, kind of is. Like,
Kind of
not
is. Like, are they
necessarily
gonna? Do
big
you think they're gonna still
devil,
live there? You can't live there anymore. Like, are they
Well,
gonna
a lot
leave?
of people were running away from Hawkins, to be fair.
Yeah, but I think at this point the government's just gotta like just relocate
the whole
everyone and just
town.
shut the town down and be like, clearly there's like put a big fence around it. Oh, I don't know. I mean, obviously I would love for them to all be back in Hawkins and be back together for the final season, but yeah, I don't really know where it's gonna go. The only theory I have is that Will's gonna be tempted to the dark side.
All right, guys, we've been going for about an hour, so I'm going to do a mid-roll
Okay.
real quick. Hello, dear viewer. It's me, Steven, the host. This is the middle of our show. Would you please be so kind as to hit the like button? Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. This channel is what it is. Once a week we do a live stream about some nerdy topic. I'm going to do something next week. Don't ask me what, because I don't remember. It might be D&D Dragons, where we're talking about Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. Maybe. I'm not sure. But we'll do something next week. And something the week after that. I think maybe Ms. Marvel the week after that. I'm not sure. But got a lot of stuff coming up. So just, subscribe and hang out with us every Sunday evening. Cecilia.
Yes.
You're an active content creator. What are you doing?
Well, my last episode was with Steven, and we were talking about the Umbrella Academy season 3. And that episode was obviously in English, and if you go to my channel, yes, 2 days ago, if you go to my channel, you can watch it. And for the next episode, which will be on Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern time, we will be discussing Stranger Things season 4. I mean, the whole thing, the whole season. And the week after, we will be talking about Westworld. Of course, these 2 episodes, Westworld and Stranger Things, will be in Spanish. And the next episode after that is going to be in English, but I don't have the topic just yet. So stay tuned, and I will announce the next episode in English if you want to listen. And if you understand Spanish or are just merely curious about it, you may tune into the next 2 episodes in Spanish. So you're more than welcome to join us.
Yogi, you got anything coming up, man?
I don't know. Not really.
Okay.
I'm going to try to do more. I'm going to try to come up with more headlines for the King's Landing Chronicle, and I probably at some point in my life will do another episode of Through the Moon Door. But other than that, I got nothing. I'm just glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you both. Seriously, like, I just love other perspectives. We're not agreeing on 100% of the stuff here. We obviously all enjoyed this show a lot,
yes.
But the different lenses that you look at the world through, I am not a Latin person. I am not a gay person. I am not a European person. To have different people's input is one of the most valuable things. I mean, I have maybe what I might consider the disadvantage of being a white dude with a podcast. I know that makes me very unique. But I've always had a great appreciation for somebody else's experience, because stories, and this story in particular, because there's so many characters, stories have a lot going on, and they can mean a lot of different things to different people. So thank you so much, both of you, for choosing to join me for this particular episode. Also got to thank my patrons. Patrons, we love you. If you want to become a patron, there is a link in the description. A Patreon link. It'll take you to, down there. And it'll take you to the Patreon page. And yep. We never make Patreon exclusive content. All of our content is available for everyone all the time. But the patrons are the ones that want to help me pay for keeping the lights on and paying for the streaming software and blah, 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 all that stuff, So thank you very much, patrons. Our Patreon High Council consists of 2 members. We've got our alpha patron, Ridiculous Ed Tollett, my good buddy, who plays D&D with me. In that D&D group, they call themselves the main characters, which is what this T-shirt is. Mine should say DM, not TM, because I am the dungeon master for that crew. But still,
So you kind of both wore your Hellfire shirts today, in a way.
I did wear a D&D. This is a D&D shirt, sort of like back channel D&D shirt.
I didn't. I don't own. I don't own any Stranger Things or D&D merch for that matter.
I got a lot of D&D stuff. Our other High Counselor is Lord John Bronsteen the Wise of the Bronsteris YouTube channel. Thank you, High Counselors, for your contributions to the cause. And they are supported by the nobility of the realm, including the Cloaked One of the Underworld, Ryan Stavka, the Russian Quartermaster, Reflective Rambling, Arch-Maester Emma, Kate, Mistress of the House of Books, Jared Kozal, Doctor of Dragons, Lady Maura Lee of Starfall, and Lady Rita the Unbound. Thank you, patrons. We love you guys. The last thing I want to plug is I have a Slack group. It is rather like a Discord server. A lot of really great people hang out there. We keep the chat going. It's where I organize Zoom hangouts. We organize D&D games. We have a channel for sharing your memes, a channel for sharing your thirsty pics of Pedro Pascal. Yeah. But if that sounds like something you would enjoy being a part of, come be our friend. Cecilia's in there. Yogi, you're technically in there. I haven't seen you in a while, but I know you're it's busy.
I know. Yeah, I know. Me and Slack are not going to become friends. I don't know what it is about Slack, but I just don't use it.
Not your thing.
Maybe it's because I don't get notifications. I check it like every 2 or 3 days, and then I have to scroll up like 500 messages.
Yeah, because our Slack is very active.
It's very active.
But if you would like to join, you just need to send me an email at we3dragons@gmail.com. It's on your screen right now. We3 spelled out dragons@gmail.com. And I will get you in. And don't forget Wordle. Me and Danny McKay post our Wordle scores every day. I think my streak is 71 days right now. I haven't missed in 71 days. Basically since Ice and Fire Con. Danny, I think, is a few days a longer streak than me right now. Shakes fist. But yeah, come join our Slack group because we have a good time. What else should I cover in the mid-roll? I can't think of anything.
I thought of something. I forgot to say that.
Please.
Earlier, when you go to the Twitter account, the King's Landing Chronicle, that I run, there is a link to a Ko-fi where you can give me money if you enjoy reading made up stupid headlines about a fantasy world.
I will endeavor to remember to add that to the description after the stream. I don't like my chances, but
maybe if I give a bunch of money, I'll actually post some articles again. Who knows?
Maybe, huh?
Or headlines, I should say. I never write the article, I just post the headlines.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, New York Comic Con in October. It's a good chance I'm going to be there. So, yeah, go to New York Comic Con and come say hi to me.
Is that New York Comic Con? Isn't that the? Because I just, speaking of Game of Thrones. Wasn't George R. R. Martin like the first person to ever go to Comic-Con? Like, I think he was the first in line at the first ever Comic-Con. I remember him talking about that.
I'm not sure.
He really is like the king of the nerds.
He really is. I'm actually.
It must have been New York because he grew up in New Jersey, so it must have been the
Yeah.
New York Comic Con. Yeah.
Yeah. Kate's going to New York Comic Con also. I'm gonna.
You think you might catch I don't want to derail the conversation too much, but you think you might catch a glimpse of like a new trailer for the House of the Dragon at the Comic Con in New York? Think they're gonna drop one?
Because isn't it supposed to start basically right then?
21st of August, I think.
Oh no, this is in October.
Oh, never mind. I thought it was like way sooner than that. I think I was thinking of San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah, San Diego Comic Con is probably in a week or two.
Yeah, I think that's when they're going to drop the next trailer for the House of the Dragon.
But no, I'm going to meet Felicia Day. I'm going to get...
Great.
Yeah, I love me some Felicia Day. I'm going to get her to sign this card from Munchkin expansion. I don't know where it is right off the top of my head. Oh, here it is. You ever played Munchkin?
I don't know what that is.
No, it's a silly little card game. It's sort of almost based on D&D. The tagline is like, slay the monster, steal the treasure, stab your friends. It's all about backstabbing so you can win, but this is do you recognize Felicia Day's avatar from, what do you call that show that she was in, The Guild? They made a Guild expansion. I'm going to get her to sign her card of her avatar from the Guild. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Yes.
We've gone to so many different places. I'm trying to think what haven't we talked about yet.
Okay, I want to talk about the D&D aspect of the final episode.
Yes.
Because it very much felt like multiple D&D parties. Everybody knows their role. Here's the plan. We've got to do this thing to draw them out, and then this team will swoop in. Like, it's an elaborate plan. You've got them getting their weapons ready. It's like that. It's like going after the big bad evil guy at the end of a campaign. It very much evokes that feeling for me, where everybody had to lean into their strengths, and you had your fighter people. You had your sneaking people. You had 11, who was always
the wizard.
The wizard.
Yeah.
They
were like in the very first episode when Eddie was the dungeon master. They were having their final campaign where they were fighting Vecna. So it all came full circle. Yeah, the comparison is very valid.
But it felt very D&D to me, and I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah. I like the. I said before I like the teams. Yeah. Good. The plan was good too.
I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a good. They sort of lucked out that the Soviet group figured out what they were doing and helped them. But other than that, it was a pretty good plan. Just burn it. Burning has worked well for them in the past. That's what they did in the first season with the Demogorgon. And then kind of like the drawing out, the diversion thing. Didn't they also do that again? Didn't they do that in season 3? I don't remember. But it always comes down to burning it. While Elle does some magic
Well, she holds her hand up and screams.
Yes, exactly. But this time they both, when she fought Vecna, I was thinking, you were thinking D&D. I was getting reminded of Saruman fighting Gandalf in Fellowship of the Ring, where they were just throwing each other around. It didn't look as silly as it does in Fellowship of the Ring, when they're just two old men knocking each other over with their magic sticks. But it was good. Yeah. Vecna and Elle.
I would
Probably
like
gonna
to
have a rematch.
I would like to talk about Nancy, because Nancy every season keeps getting more protagonism, and I love that, because she's clearly a very smart woman, and she really knows her shit. I mean, and they wouldn't have been able to save Max in the first volume if it weren't for her and what she found out. I mean, she is clearly one of the MVPs of this season. along with Dustin. And well, Dustin is pretty much in every season the MVP, but
Dusty
ne-
Bun.
yeah,
Dusty
but
Bun and Steve. That like
Steve.
duo is always
Like,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I said Max was my favorite. It's probably Steve from the show overall is probably my favorite.
Yeah, I was gonna say Will was my favorite this season overall, like all the seasons. I think. Nah, actually, it still might be Will. Like, I just feel like that like initial attachment. Once you realize that a character is probably gay, you're like, and then you become like every little detail that they sprinkled in there, and everyone was like, oh, it could be, it couldn't be, it's up for interpretation. I was like, no, it's not. And finally they confirmed it. But yeah, I like Steve. Steve's great. I also like Murray. I think Murray's really really fun as well when he karate chopped that treacherous pilot. I fully expected him to get his ass kicked, but he messed him up. He said he beat that 16-year-old who's really good at karate.
Well, that whole thing was just wild. That whole story.
That was real. I did not expect when, like, in season 1. I mean, the first episode obviously it was like, okay, we gotta get Hopper out of the gulag. But like, I did not expect them to still be in Russia in the final episode. I thought it was going to be a thing where like they go over there and he comes back, but
and
they
everybody winds up back in Hawkins at the end.
Yeah, like they were still there. I was like, wow, they're still in. Do you think they're going to bring Eyrie and what's the other guy's name? Antonov? What's Jack and Hagar? Enzo.
Enzo, yes.
I think it is Enzo. Because I was confused because like there was like subtitles one time where Enzo was his code name. I think his real name is something like Anatov or something.
Antonov.
But do you think Enzo's going to come back?
I think.
Did he just get arrested as soon as he flew into American airspace?
Probably not coming back. I hope he does, but he's got a family in Russia. I don't think him just leaving his family behind.
Maybe he never went. I mean, the whole thing for him was just about getting a bunch of money, which he never got. But I think maybe he just.
I guess I was talking about the other guy, not in.
Oh, Eyrie.
Not Eyrie.
No, Enzo's the guard, right?
I'm just going to call him Jack and Hagar.
Jack and Hagar. Yeah. What is his name? I'm going to look it up.
The name
talking.
of the actor?
No, I know the name of the character.
No, the name of the character is Enzo. He was Enzo.
Yeah, it is Enzo. Yeah, Enzo and Eyrie.
Yeah. Huh.
I don't think they ever said his real name. Oh, his name is Dmitry Antonov.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Antonov.
But they call him Enzo.
Right.
Yeah. Let's just call him Enzo. Enzo and Eyrie, yeah. Eyrie probably got arrested after flying them to the US. And I don't think Enzo wants to go back.
Eyrie was a fun wanted. Too. He was basically just the Russian Murray in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of like a Russian Han Solo. Like he came in at the end and saved the day.
I get it, yeah.
But he only cared about the money. Han Solo never betrayed anyone, he never betrayed Lucan. But you know what? He was a smuggler. First. He did. Eyrie did not. Eyrie got his ass kicked by Murray.
in one of the greatest fight scenes in television history.
Yeah. I mean, the whole, like, Soviet... That part of the show, with, like, when they were in Russia trying to break out of the gulag, I just kept thinking... Remember when the show was about a bunch of little D&D playing kids hiding a magic child in their basement? And now we're, like, exploding helicopters and fighting bats and...
It's just the victory of the Fast and Furious.
Yeah, it just jumped off the... I mean, even in...
People in fast cars stealing tractor trailers full of equipment, and now it's about parachuting your car out of the back of an airplane.
Yeah. I always wondered, did they always plan on making this many seasons? Was it meant to be like a one-season thing, and then they just kept adding to it? Or was this Vecna stuff?
They were planning about 4 or 5 seasons.
Oh.
And I've heard season 5 is the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point you gotta stop, because at some point the kids are just gonna be adults, and then it's like, well...
Yeah, and then it's not the same, because the story is about look, as somebody who grew up in the 80s and grew up watching a lot of the films that they're referencing, like E.T. and Star Wars and Stand By Me and The Breakfast Club and all of that stuff from my childhood, like, yeah, there's a nostalgia to it, but one of the things, like, I always go back to Goonies and Stand By Me.
Mm-hmm.
Teenagers, kids could do anything in an 80s movie. All the parents were dumb. The adults didn't have any clue what was going on, and the kids were running around heisting things or having these grand adventures where they find pirate gold. And the adults are all oblivious, but the kids can do anything. So when they're not kids anymore, it's going to lose some of that magic because it's not going to be leaning into that 1980s trope.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, even in the season 3, they were doing like leaning away from the kind of Stand By Me, Kids in the Woods, more to like a teenage love romance kind of drama stuff. But now that they're at that weird age where it's like, I guess they're like the Breakfast Club age now. And before I realized in the first episode that they were supposed to be freshmen, I thought that they did that thing again where the time they skipped between seasons was the same amount of time that passed in the show. Because I think that's what they did for season 3, which would have made them like about to graduate. So initially I thought what was going to happen was we were going to have them be sort of fight Vecna and then do like an It thing where they all graduate and go off to like different parts and colleges and make a deal that if it ever comes back, they'll go back to Hawkins. And that was going to be season 5, because then you could have had them be like college age and you could have kind of moved away from them looking so old. But now I think they're probably just going to do
like that.
Something like that. Maybe they'll split it again, where it's like halfway through season 5, they sort of kind of beat it again. I don't know. Like, I think it would have been like...
They need the 5-year gap, George, tell us.
Yeah. Because then they could have... Will could have gone to art college, and he could have like joined a Rocky Horror Picture Show reenactment group and got a new haircut, and Elle and him could have been roommates, and then Mike could have...
Frankenfurter.
Right? And then, like, Mike, I guess, just lives in Hawkins still. Like, what does he do? What would he... Like, I don't know. What would he even go to college for?
Store.
Dustin's going to be going to, like, MIT, become a genius computer man or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I just thought, like... And then we have that thing, we got to come back. Vecna's back. Ooh. And now they're already back. So they already did the reuniting, and now they just got to do the fighting in season 5. But I don't like... Do you have any predictions or hopes?
For season 5?
Yeah.
Well, regarding the end of the show, I heard a wild theory that they were trying to end the story at the year that is right before Winona Ryder in real life became famous. I heard that, but I mean that's a wild guess. I mean, I don't really.
So the plot twist is that Joyce is Winona Ryder. She's gonna go on and become a famous actress.
I don't know. I mean, they were trying to. I mean, what I heard is that they were trying to end things before that, so that it doesn't feel weird with the 80s reference. But,
oh,
I mean,
because she was. I see.
She was an 80s icon with.
Yeah. Well, I guess that would be.
And mermaids and Edward Scissorhands. And,
they've done weird timey stuff before. I saw on the internet. I didn't catch it, but someone pointed out that in one of the scenes, you can see a calendar in the background, and it says March 22nd, which, according to Joyce in season 2, is Will's birthday, but no one acknowledged it in the episode. So it just seemed like everyone forgot his birthday. So the creators were like, "Yeah, we just made a mistake."
Yes.
So they're gonna go back and redub Winona Ryder saying March to May in season 2, so that there's no mistake anymore. They're gonna George Lucas it.
Well, it's the easiest thing to do. I say easiest thing to do,
it is. It's just like, I mean, it would have just been funny if, in addition to everything else, they also forgot his birthday.
Oh, poor Will.
Like the day his birthday, someone like shoots up the house. A bunch of army
Yeah.
people come in. I think that was the scene where you could see that it was the 22nd. But yeah,
What a
I mean,
great scene that was. I mean, it wasn't volume 2, it was volume 1 of this.
Volume 1,
You
yeah.
know, but like, what
I
a
got all that stuff
great-
from Volume 1 I want to talk about because I wasn't there. But yeah, it was a good scene.
You're welcome to talk about whatever you want.
I know.
I have
Yeah.
said my piece about all that stuff, but great scene.
Yeah.
Great action
Great scene.
scene.
Season 5. It's like...
Well, for
I mean,
season
well,
5,
like I said... Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on.
I'm sorry, okay. For season 5, I think that, well, there will be obviously a time jump. And I agree that it may be during the senior year of the kids. And everything in Hawkins is so fucked up because obviously, you know, the upside down is coming into the real world. And well, there are probably, well, regarding the teenage drama, well, obviously is gonna have to do a lot with the coming of age thing and graduating and that sort of stuff that American television loves. And
Yeah.
but on the other hand, well, you have the other problem, the big issue, which is Vecna and him coming back. And I believe that, well, now that everyone is in the same place, well, the story may take a turn that in which, I don't know, well, some of the characters that we saw taking the least spotlight in this season will have a lot more protagonism in the next season. For example, Will undoubtedly be a central part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously 11 because she's the wizard in this campaign, right? And well,
But so is Will. Will the
So
Wise.
Will the
He's got
Wise.
that
Will's
wizard
the cleric.
costume.
And well, for the other characters, well, everyone will start taking interest in their own thing. But I mean, it can't work without the whole bunch. So there's gonna be some sort of, I don't know, coming them together because they have lived different experiences. So even if they are in the same place, they already have some differences in the way they see life because they have lived different things each. For example, for
Yeah.
Max, we still don't know if she's gonna make it. And if she does, is she going to be blind? Is she going to be have some sort of disabilities because of what she went through? Or if she's going to stay connected in some sort with Vecna? Will Vecna keep trying to kill her? I don't know, but I think that they
Yeah.
need to address that in the next season. And as for Vicky, for example, I was kind of pissed because Amy McNulty is a great actress, and we only saw her like 5 minutes in the whole series. So I kind of hope that she has a little more protagonism in the next season.
Yeah.
Because I think that they are wasting a great actress there.
Yeah. They're probably going to have Steve being like third wheel to Robin and Vicky just sitting there not being able to say anything.
So
While they keep family.
your question was about what do I think will happen, and honestly, this is one of those shows that I can't predict. I think it's easier for me to say things that I really hope don't happen.
Yeah, I guess that's also kind of what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Because my whole thing was... what they've kind of always done is they started every season off with things being at least a little bit normal. Like a bit of time has passed. People are sort of kind of living their lives. But now this season, it's like they ended it with basically Hawkins is like a dystopian, upside down nightmare world. So it kind of seems like something they have to deal with right away. First episode next season. So there won't be any of that. Oh, what is Hopper up to? Oh, Joyce, look, she's become a phone salesman. So it's like, how are they gonna... Like, there's not gonna be any, like, oh, we're going to school. Oh, we're going to the movies. It's like, no, like, the world is ending.
Right.
So it's like, how do you get a... And you have all the characters now in one place, which is also challenging. So I don't know how the writers are great, so they're probably going to pull it off. But other than the whole like Will being kind of tempted by, I always picture what I probably could see happening is that like at the early beginning of the season, you have like a weakened Vecna reaching out to Will, and maybe he can get Will to do something impulsive or stupid that is just enough to help Vecna get back to strength. I don't think Will do something very truly terrible. Like I don't think he's going to turn evil, but I think he might do a little something stupid.
When it comes to what I don't want to see happen, most of it is centered around Will.
I don't want to see him die.
I don't want to. Yeah, please don't. Like the killer.
Don't bury your gays. Don't bury the gay.
Right. It's so tired. That trope is.
I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I think they're too aware of that.
I think you're right, but like, please don't do that. Let Will have a win by the end.
I think they will.
That poor boy has been through so much. Like, I hope Argyle turns out to be gay and they're a perfect match or something. You know, give me a character at the end. I want Will to be happy.
I know.
You know,
I want him to go to art college and get a haircut. And just be gay. And be roommates with Elle.
Really great boyfriend, you know?
Yes.
Like,
just get over Mike. Everyone needs to get over, and Steve, for that matter, Steve needs to go over Nancy. People got to get over the Wheelers. I don't move on. People need to move on. I don't know what people see in these two, but I mean, Nancy's great. Nancy's great. I'm just saying, Steve, you don't need Nancy. You got your own thing going. You're great. They'll probably have them be back together. I don't know. I could see maybe it's a thing where like now that they're all back together again. Maybe
I don't want it to, but Steve is dying next season.
Yeah,
I don't want him
I think they're gonna kill Steve. I don't think
want him to die. I love him.
I love him so much.
Such a great character from.
I don't think the core kids any of them will die, but I think we're gonna lose Steve.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be so they can get Max back. I think I can't remember which one of you said it earlier that you think that might be what most of season 4 is like fighting to get Max back from Vecna.
Yeah. Maybe they'll do a split thing where like there's one storyline that's sort of Elle trying to get into the mind of Vecna, looking for Max kind of thing, searching for like where he is, and then we have a second thing where Vecna is trying to go for after Will, maybe doing some like I don't know, because there's also a thing, and I think this is maybe taking it too far where predictions go, but I thought that they were kind of like the guy, the one, Henry, he seemed a little bit...
/1?
Yes. He seemed kind of maybe a little bit gay as well. Just like...
Yeah.
He
may have been
I mean, they had his, like... They definitely were making the parallels between him and Will. Because they were like, oh, he was a sensitive kid. They had that scene where he was drawing the Mind Flayer, like Will did in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they definitely set it up for like the parallels, and I think that is a way that Vecna might get to Will, where he's like, oh, I know your pain and I know your confusion, and he'll maybe try to sort of, because maybe that's also why they made Mike be so like dense and like unresponsive to Will's suffering this season, that so they can have Vecna be like, oh, your friends, they don't understand you, and they all, you know, they just do their own thing and they don't care about you.
And they'll play off the fear too.
Yeah, and it's like the isolation and I know what it's like to be sensitive and different, and then he'll be like, you can, you know, you have a connection to the Upside Down, you can have these powers too, not just Elle, and then maybe that'll be like he'll trick Will somehow, right. And that's what's going to help Vecna get back.
I don't even want that for Will. Like
I think a little bit something like that's going to happen. A little bit of an evil Will, but I don't think he's going to be fine at the end. He's going to redeem himself. I don't think he's going to need redemption. I just think he's going to
prove that he's still here.
Yeah, he's going to get Freddy Krueger by Vecna, taunted for his repressed gayness, and then they're probably going to have a thing where like he finds his pride, and all his friends obviously are accepting and wonderful, and none of them are homophobic, even though it's the 80s and it's great. And then Vecna's like, no, I'm melting. His friends, they're too accepting. Something like that. And then, yeah, I hope, this is something I hope to see. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, that Will gets sort of, and I thought this was going to happen actually in Volume 2. This was one of my predictions, didn't happen, so I hope it happens in next season, that Will gets that thing that Vecna does where he, like, lifts you up and you're, like, in your trance. I hope that happens, and I hope that Jonathan plays him the Should I Stay or Should I Go song. That would be, because that would be a great song, especially if it's about, like, Will being stuck in that thing, and him kind of.
Yeah, and they already used it.
Yeah, and Vecna, like, got to him already a bit, and it's like, come on, Will, join the dark side, young Skywalker. And then it's like, and then to have that song, Should I Stay or Should I Go, that we know is one of his favorite songs because Jonathan showed it to him in season 1. That would be great. Would have been good to have Eddie play it on the guitar, but unfortunately Eddie's dead.
So, what would be your Kate Bush Running Up That Hill song? If Vecna is lifting you into the air, what could somebody pop into your headphones?
Okay. I'm putting this on the public record now. If I ever get got by Vecna, Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. Put it in my ears.
The right answer. I love this. I think it would work for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, anything by Freddie Mercury would probably get me out fine.
No, not Bicycle.
I did the Bicycle. No, Don't Stop Me Now, Bohemian Rhapsody. I think if there was a stranger and I had no idea what music they liked, I think
somebody to like this one, so
going with Bohemian Rhapsody would probably be a good call for a person that you know nothing about.
Okay.
Because it's recognizable. Yeah. But for me, I think Don't Stop Me Now. And then for Will, I think definitely Should I Stay or Should I Go? I'm not really sure what the other people listen to.
Cecilia, what would be your song?
Oh God, that's a very different, a difficult choice, but probably something by the Beatles.
Okay, Beatles my favorite band of all time. But Don't Stop Me Now, it's just
I know the song.
upbeat.
I know
it's a great running away song too. Don't Stop Me Now.
Here Comes the Sun. Probably.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a good one.
Here Comes the Sun, or maybe
Hey Jude would also be good.
I know, but it's such a great sing-along song. The na na na, like it makes me feel like I'm part of something.
Yeah.
Maybe if they're tight for money because they have to pay so much for VFX, they got to do with something in the public domain. Like maybe Will's favorite song is "Do You Know the Muffin Man" or something like that.
It's dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. I made it out of play.
Happy birthday to you. Oh yeah. Actually, I saw another thing in the chat.
Oh,
that I
another one. Oh, Mr. Blue Sky by ELO.
Oh,
that's a good one. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good song as well. Yeah. I just saw in the chat Lady Starfall saying that they kind of feel that it's unnecessary to put Will through so much suffering. And I'm like, I mean, I get that point because he's been very, very tortured. But I think what kind of makes it work for me is that I don't think that they're doing it like because he's gay, because they've been very smart the way that they've written his sort of sexual journey over the seasons. And I think it's more about, I really hope though that they do tie it together somehow by having that be the thing that Vecna goes after him for. Is that a word? Is that a sentence? Yeah. And I mean, he was kind of like, the very first episode is called The Vanishing of Will Byers. The show was always kind of about him. Like he was the kid that was tooketh by the Demogorgon. Season 2 he was the possessed one. Then season 3 he didn't. Season 3 he really was like just not doing anything. Now season 4 he at least got like he's got the feels. And now in season 5 I really think that they got to bring the band together, have the core boy group and 11 and Max, I guess. Well, Max is in the coma. So it'll really just be like the OG crew doing things again. And I don't I mean, obviously he does suffer a bunch, but I think it makes, like, if at the end of the day, if they don't kill him, then it's bullshit. But if he gets a new haircut and he gets the win over Vecna and he has a happy ending, then I think it's fine. I think it's fine that he suffered. Like, it's not like they put him through more than other people. Like Max has been through it as well, and 11.
In my perspective, well, part of the reason why he has gone through a lot is not really because of his sexuality, but because he actually is a very sensitive kid. I mean, and you don't really have to be gay in order to be sensitive, in order to be to feel things differently and react to things differently. I mean, and for all of that we know, he has already been a bullied kid, and this is not necessarily because of his sexuality, but because
because of his haircut.
His haircut.
Well, I mean, the bullying.
Tiny. Well, he was tiny. He was skinny, and he was.
And even in season 3, when Joyce said, his friends are mean and they call him names, and that his dad said he was a queer. So, like, I mean, the thing is, you can obviously be straight and still be sensitive, and you will be bullied just as harshly.
Yes.
because the thing is, it's not the gay that they're bullying you for. It's the sense. It's the being, like, deviating from this kind of these expectations of masculinity, which is something that gay people happen to do more often. Like, it's not really something that is exclusive to them. And it would have still made sense for Will to just be straight and also sensitive. I mean, I'm glad that they made him gay, because there was a lot of, like, hinting at it. I understand people who said, hey, just because he cries a lot and he like doesn't like girls doesn't mean that he's gay, which is true, but he is. So, but yeah, it's like, and then I think there's someone in the chat also said, like, that, like, obviously, like, he was a little, like, 10-year-old child in season 1. So when did he discover he was gay? Well, I don't think he discovered it in the sense that I don't think there was a scene that you could go to and be like,
right,
that's where it is. I think he always was gay, but obviously when you're 10, you don't have romantic interests anyway. So there's not really, like, a way of knowing that. And then as he got older, and so in season 3, you kind of got the sense that he was just not really into the girls and stuff. We talked about that earlier. But now in season 4, that he's, like, sophomore high school, he really get the sense that he has a big old crush on Mike. And that's, I think,
the worst of his 3 friends.
I know,
like,
but it's also, I mean, he's the leader, and they were always closest.
Lucas,
I know, but it's
right there.
he's
Granted,
like he's a typical
like,
first crush. He's like a gangly guy with a haircut, and he was always, like, the leader of their group. Even, I think in season 1 or 2, they even said that out of all the 4 core kids, Mike and Will have been friends the longest, because they've met in kindergarten and were best friends ever since then. And I really hope they lead in, I hope they lead into that more in season 5, because you don't get the sense that they're, like, best friends, Will and Mike. You never really got the idea that they were getting more along than the others. Because I think,
I think maybe in season 1 you did, because Mike
in season 1 you did,
and season 2,
and I think
as
Dustin,
well,
like,
he was the one
met
who
them in
actually-
school or something, and like Lucas moved to Hawkins some later time. So, like, they were the biggest of friends from the beginning. And so I would make sense. And I think now in season 4 that he's, like, 15, and you really start to having romantic and sexual feelings for people. And he's like, oh, God, oh, no. And, like, he realized what has happened to him. And he kind of let go of it, I think, with that scene where he showed Mike the painting and said that Elle asked him to make it for him. So he was like, I realize and recognize that you are in love with Elle and you have a relationship and there is no hope. And so I'm just going to lie about who made this picture. Yeah, I mean, he was also tearing up and, like, it was horrible. And Mike was just sitting there like, oh, wow, he seems really emotionally invested in my relationship with Elle. What a good friend. It's like, oh my God.
Really
And Jonathan, that scene was borderline comical. The way Jonathan was looking in the rearview mirror and, like, seeing that his brother was basically having, like, an emotional breakdown, and Mike's just sitting there looking at this painting. I was waiting for Argyle to just lean over like, dude, I think your brother's gay, dude.
Argyle. I'm glad you took us back to Argyle. We got about 15 minutes left, y'all, before we're going to cut it off for the evening. So think about your last thoughts. I just want to say, Argyle, I love you, buddy. I hope you're in season 5. I know there's a good chance you won't be, but God,
does he have to go back to California? Probably, right? He probably lost his job at the surfer dude pizza place for kidnapping the van.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mike has
I would like to address that
gaydar
question in the chat about that Lady Starfall made. She says, correct me. So, correct. So, do you think they introduced this to be politically correct in today's climate? I really think they don't, because
I don't think so either.
You kind of have the hint from season 1 that he was gay.
Yeah, I should add that it was in the original pitch draft letter that they sent to Netflix. You can look this up on the internet. They had descriptions of all the different characters, and Will's character description was literally, Will Byers is a sensitive kid with sexuality issues. It was right there from the very beginning. So they didn't people didn't start thinking he was gay, and then they decided to make him gay sort of retroactively to please people. It was always their intention to build it over the seasons. And and even if it was I don't think it's a question of political correctness. It's just a question of in a show that has a cast of 27 people, a lot of people are gay. Just
statistically, a couple of them should be gay.
Have one in there, right?
We got 2.
Yeah, we did 3 now. Vicky as well. Vicky, Robin, and
I'm good. Okay.
Well,
some people said
the peanut butter on peanut butter sandwich.
Some people said Eddie.
It. Well, I mean, Vicky is bisexual, unless that guy she was making out with was just an alibi boyfriend or something. It is not unheard. I know lots of gay people who were in straight relationships when they were teenagers, because they were just trying their best, to fit in.
Yeah,
but
I have a story about that.
No matter what letters you identify with sexually, most of us are thankful we aren't stuck with our first IRL crush.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Will, I love you, my boy, but Mike ain't it.
Mike ain't it.
Mike ain't it. Wait to college, go to college, be an adult, join a Rocky Horror Picture reenactment group, and date one of those people. There's so many gay people at college. Go to art college, be a painter, get a new haircut, get a boyfriend, be happy.
Get a new haircut.
Please. Or commit and have it for the rest of your life and work it.
It's a realistic thing to fall in love for your best friend. I mean, I have a lot of gay friends that fell in love for their best friend.
Yeah, I'm lucky I never got there. That would have been terrible. I made a lot of my best friends when I was a kid were girls, so that's a good thing. But I have my best the sort of Mike to my Will that I met in kindergarten, and we're still best friends to this day. Luckily, never had a crush on it. Whew, because that would have been terrible. I can't feel Will on that one. Mike ain't it. I don't see it. Sorry, Will, I don't see it. But I get where he's coming from. I have a friend
who wrote a whole novel about it.
Man, the stuff teenagers will do sorry, what were we talking about? Oh, Argyle. Yeah, he's great.
Argyle.
Probably won't be in season. I think they're gonna be Argyle went back to his home planet.
Dude. My dude.
What is that accent that he has? The way he says...
It's Mexican.
No. What is that accent? That is...
Californian...
The California accent.
California Mexican accent. Because the
way that he says the S sound, when he said that girl got schmacked in the face.
He always says... That is the Valley accent. That is...
Yes, it is a Valley accent. But you have to remember that in LA is the world's biggest population of Mexican people just behind Mexico City.
Yeah, and I get it, but it was a very American accent.
Yeah.
Oh, I think the actor he might have been a second generation. I mean,
I think the actor is Mexican.
Yeah, I think. And that may be, but it was it did not really have any Mexican accent to it. It was very much
Well,
an
but
LA
to be
Valley.
fair, he did say a lot of phrases in Spanish
Okay,
and in
that
He
he
did.
Spanish
probably
as
did.
well. So yes, I mean I recognize my people.
Yeah, he's probably like a second
Fair enough,
generation
Uh-huh.
but
or something
like
like
to
that.
it.
And
your-
not only that, but because LA has this bicultural influence, a strong
Mhm.
bicultural influence, and I live in the border, so I am pretty familiar with that culture. I mean, it's not LA, El Paso, and Juarez is not LA, but it's, I mean, the whole Chicano culture is pretty similar. So
Mhm.
I can see traces
Yeah.
of him. I mean, he's not
Sure.
completely Chicano because he doesn't act like. I mean, he's not stereotypically Mexican, but
Right.
he
He's
does.
stereotypically surfer dude.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
is that, yeah. He probably, I mean,
But he
his
makes.
life story is probably similar to the actor because he was born in the U.S., but his
Mhm.
parents were Mexican. It's
Yes.
probably something like that.
A second generation, and it's very common in second generation Mexican Americans that they sort of reject their parents' culture a little bit in order to find their own identity. So it's pretty. I mean, it
Yeah.
is completely justifiable that he's not stereotypically Mexican and his accent is completely American. But he does
But they
still
never
throw
went. We don't even
some.
know his last name. Like they never.
Uh-huh.
He's just Argyle. He's just surfer dude Argyle who works at the
Yeah.
pizza place.
But
he just got roped into this terrible thing. He saw a man die in front of him and buried him in the desert.
I love in the last episode where they roll up on the other, surfer dude pizza plate,
It's the same person.
and he's talking to the guy and like, "What's up, my dude? How you doing, my dude?" And just that back and forth, and they're talking to each other. You can see the whites of everyone else's eyes, but those two dudes have bloodshot red eyes in that scene. It is clear they're both extremely stoned.
Yeah.
It just made me laugh. He brought such a great.
He was the
vibe
funniest.
to all the scenes he was in, and like it's a deep, heavy show. Having that sort of levity in the moment from time to time was really helpful.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah. He brought the kind of the comedy that we had in season 3. It was kind of like Hopper being like a stereotypical 80s Magnum, like mustache cop that was getting a lot of the laughs, and Murray as well, and in this season as well. But yeah, Argyle's great. Argyle and Eddie, both two great characters that were introduced. One of them had to go. That's the Stranger Things law. You can't, if you're a likable character introduced in the first episode, you gotta go. You gotta die with it. But I think like Sean Astin's character Bob, I think his sacrifice was a lot more meaningful because I really don't see why Eddie had to go back to the bats. Like, what did he achieve? Did he buy more time? Did he prevent them from going back to the house?
No, I think it was because he obviously didn't know that the other bunch was getting strangled by the
For like
vampires.
30 minutes.
Yes.
They may have been
Strangled
trying to
for so
keep them
long.
because inside the trailer there's a portal to our world. He may have been trying to keep them from getting to that.
That could be true.
Possibly,
yeah.
yes, possibly.
They could have just.
Or,
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
or
man.
just
I
keep-
really thought they were gonna.
Lady Starfall said something about like his guitar solo, the real guitar solo from Metallica's Master of Puppets legendary song. He did not actually play that.
no, he did.
Okay.
He
He
did.
did, but he didn't actually play it. He
Well,
played
yes,
it.
but he did. I mean, he's an actual guitar player, and he actually learned the whole song. So,
Okay.
so it
His-
was
Yeah.
realistic, or his
It probably
performance
didn't
was
sound
really good.
as good as it
Yeah,
did
I'm sure
when
it
they
wasn't being quite
put it over again. But it looked good. Like the
Dynamic
finger movements and
levels
stuff looked good enough to where I was like, eh.
He
But yeah,
was
like the
very
guitar solo
believable.
on the upside down guitar, like solo thing was probably one of my favorite moments in the entire season. It was so when he just starts shredding and there's the lightning going off in the background and everything. And I was like, yeah,
Most metal
this,
concert ever.
this is pretty good. And I also like that we got like every season they give us new little fucked up upside down creatures. Like we get the Demogorgon, then we had the Demodogs, and then we had the meat puppet things, and now we got the bats. I wonder what they're going to give us next season. Probably
Rhinos.
some other.
Upside down rhinoceros.
Maybe there's still hope for the upside down Nazi zombies, but probably not.
Nazi zombie upside. Yeah, maybe. All right. Last 5 minutes, y'all. Any last minute things you want to make sure you have said? Now is your chance. We didn't talk much about Gaten Matarazzo or Luca or Caleb McLaughlin. A little bit. They were both so good this season. I think it just goes without saying that they both absolutely crushed everything they were given. They were given a good amount to do. Lucas was, being pulled in so many different directions. It was really fun to watch him sort of navigate that. Dustin, we'll just call him Dustin, really sort of stepped up into a more adult version of the character he's been playing this whole time. Probably more so than any of the other characters did. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. What did I didn't talk about? Maybe, I mean, the whole, 11 storyline. We didn't really talk too much about it. I have to say, and I believe I tweeted about this when I was watching it. When I was watching Volume 1, I tweeted, the whole 11 storyline in the season feels like the answer to a question no one asked. In that, for most of the first volume, I was like, why are they showing this? And maybe it's just because I'm dumb and I didn't pick up on the fact that it was going to tie into the Vecna story. So I was like, what is with this, why is she in this underground lab and the doctor's back and all these flashbacks with this weird guy who's got blonde hair? What is this? But then when I started to realize that it was probably going to be connected, I was like, oh. Mm-hmm. So if I had made that connection from the get-go, maybe I wouldn't have been quite so bored by it. I wasn't bored, but as I said, it felt like they were answering a question that I didn't ask.
You're not the first person I've heard have that observation. They felt like, what's going on with this 11 stuff? But
yeah, I should
work.
Yeah, probably overall, I would say my final thoughts is that I did enjoy it. I think I'd probably still prefer. I don't know. It's tough to rank them. I really like season 2 as well, and I also like season 3. I mean, I also like season 4. I don't want to say it's my least favorite season because I did enjoy it. I think while I personally don't mind that the episodes were basically a movie each, I don't think they had to be. I think they could have just made it to where it's 10 or 11 episodes that are normal length. I think there was some stuff in there that they could have. I don't think that the length was fully justified. I think there was some stuff in it that they could have gotten rid of, but I also didn't mind it too much. But yeah, overall, I thought for the amount of characters that they had, I think they made it very entertaining, and I'm curious to see season 5.
Season 5.
Will Byers being tempted to the dark side by the Emperor.
The coming out of Will Byers.
Yes.
The ascension of Will Byers.
The ascension. Yes. But hopefully, I want Will to be the main character for the final season.
He's not.
He's been in the backseat for too long. He could be. I mean, they kind of made it. They kind of don't have main characters on this show. In season 1, it was sort of 11, I guess. Maybe sort of Mike.
11 and Mike, yeah.
Season 2, he really kind of was the main character. His being possessed was kind of the whole driving force. And then season 3, it was more of a I don't even know what season 3 was. It was more of a. Season 3 was a bit of a clusterfuck. I get why some people don't really like it that much. I really enjoyed it. And then season 5, I am curious how they're going to just deal with Hawkins being an upside down hell
find
world.
Out.
In 3 years.
I want to give you a chance to have your final say, whatever it is, the last thing.
Oh, God.
Ladies first, ladies last.
I don't know. I mean, I think I have said whatever I needed to say. But on an extra note, I would love to see the Dustin's girlfriend. I mean, it's unlikely. It's
Mhm.
highly unlikely, but I would love to see Dustin's girlfriend interact with the bunch just for the fun of it. But I know that it's a long call. But I would love to see. Well, I would love to see Steven get
Me?
get real love. I would love to see Robin supporting Will and Will
Yes.
supporting Robin.
Yes.
And I would love to see what else? Max coming back from his her coma. And what else? I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. All of the other things that I would like to see, you guys have already covered it pretty much. So, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, again, we could. I'm sure we could talk in circles about this for another 2 hours if we wanted to bad enough. I don't want to bad enough. I have to pee. But I guess we'll call it a stream, y'all. I had a blast. You guys are both great. I knew this was going to be good when I knew the two of you were both going to be guests.
We'll reconvene for season 5 when it comes out in 5 years.
Yeah, probably like 2, but yeah, I know who to call. Like, I've worked with both of you before. We've streamed with both of you before, and you're both very good at sort of this type of conversational thing. So I thought it was great. So again, Cecilia, thank you very much for joining me. Yogi, thank you very much for joining me. People who watched live, thank you very much for joining us live. People who are watching this later, also thanks, just less thanks, because we wish you were here live. We would thank you even more. I get it. Not everybody has the same times to do things that I do, but yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. It was a fun conversation. Can't wait for season 5. This show has launched careers of some of these young actors. I'm sure it's going to be the thing that, and some of them will do stuff and not be great and fade into the background, but some of them will go on to be big stars. We'll see who. But yeah, join us for Stranger Things season 5 when that comes out.
2025.
I'm pulling for 2024.
Probably. They said it wasn't going to be as long of a wait as for season 4. They already said that, so probably 1.5 or 2 years. Yeah, I hope so. I don't want to wait that long again.
To my American friends, have a safe and happy 4th of July tomorrow. For my non-American friends, have a safe and happy 4th of July tomorrow. You're less likely to get blown up by fireworks than we are, but doesn't mean I don't want you to be reckless and unsafe. Yeah. So I think we'll call it there. I'm not sure what we're doing next week. I'll post about it. It'll be something nerdy and fun, and it'll be cool nerdy people having a cool nerdy conversation. So we'll see you then. Until then, you know what it is. Peace and be excellent to each other.